Wake up with the word with Pastor A. Thomas Hill. Wake up with the word. Wake up with the word. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wake up. Get up. Get up. Look up. Look up. Wake up with the word with Pastor Thomas Hill. Wake up with the word. Wake up with the word. Wake up with the word.
There was nothing I could do but say amen and go along with it until it got itself together. Every now and then we need to update. We need to update ourselves, and we have to just stop and be still until it happens. Great segue for our focus today in day number 3. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is not inactivity. Psalms 46 and 10, our passage, one of our foundational passages for this week says, "Be still and know that I am God." Can I tell you what was happening as we were waiting to come up these 15 minutes? I got a little anxious. In fact, I got very anxious because I wasn't able to continue the routine that I'm used to. I woke up and expecting the same thing I got yesterday, but today's a different day. Caught me off guard, and I had no choice but to be still and to wait until the system rebooted itself, updated itself to allow me to come on and join you this morning. So 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a long time to wait. And it's a long time to be still. Well, what were you doing during those 15 minutes, Pastor Hill? I wish I could say I just was sitting there doing nothing but staring at the computer. But no, I was busy trying to make something else happen. I was hoping in the same instance and with my emotions that things would speed up. Come on, it would tell me how many more minutes was left before the system would have completed its process in order for me to access it. Anxious. Yeah, noise was happening. I was experiencing some noise. We've been talking about that this week. Be still. Silence the noise. So let me see what kind of noise I was dealing with this morning. Yeah. Emotional noise. That was number 3 here. I have it on the screen. Unprocessed emotions that amplify reactions and cloud judgment. I wonder, am I going to be able to do a wake up word today? Because the time is passing. I only have until 6:30. Wow. Situational noise. Circumstances that create pressure to move quickly or to react emotionally. I do my podcast on my desktop computer. So immediately I pull out my laptop thinking, well, maybe I can go ahead and at least get my laptop going because I'm not sure how long this is going to last. And because of the noise, the emotional noise, the situational noise, I drew a blank on my laptop. It's slightly different in terms of how I operate. I just drew a blank all of a sudden, and I saw the impact of noise that distracts, the clutter, the internal noise, thoughts, fears, and mental clutter within us. I mean, literally, I do this all the time. I mean, why am I having a blank? Why am I drawing a blank? Because we find ourselves sometimes in those last minute pop-ups and those things that we don't expect. And many times we don't know what to do. We know what to do, but in that instance, we've forgotten. Yeah. And that's the time to stop, breathe, back up, and be still. Stillness is not inactivity. Let's just quickly just go to that passage and thought. Stillness is not passivity. Mhm. It's simply surrender. I was in a place, I mean, I had no choice. I could not force the computer to finish. I couldn't convince the computer, I've got a wake up word to do. I don't have time for you to do an update. Guess what? It's not going to argue back at me. It's just going to do its thing, and it's going to cause me to wait. Mhm. Yeah. I had to surrender my emotions. I had to surrender my will, and I had to wait. How many times have we had to do all that surrendering and wait on God to do those things that we cannot do on our own? Yeah. Silence prepares the environment for precision. It was the moments that I had to pull back and be quiet. Not, I wasn't verbally talking to the computer with the problem this morning. I was mentally communicating. Yeah. And the clutter in the communication, I hadn't planned for this. What I'll do next, how am I going to do this and that? Noise that was trying to throw things off until I realized it's not going to happen until I wait. And the more still I am, the better I am to focus on the issue and what happens next. Sometimes God uses us as object lessons. Let's just face it. God often quiets our lives, and He does it not to punish us, but to prepare us to hear Him accurately. Yeah, be still, He said, and know that I am God. I thought about, I shared this with you before, coming up as a child, seven uh, siblings in the home, and we would go to church. And you know how kids are, they get fidgety in church. But every now and then, mom will pop our legs and say, "Be still, boy. Be still." hmm And when mama gives you that pop, you already know there's another one coming if I refuse to follow her command. Be still. We're in church. There's something you need to hear, and you can't hear it moving around, playing, being occupied by other things. God will bring us to that place, beloved, from time to time, just to remind us. I know, I know the noise has got you unraveled. It's got you in a place that of confusion or chaos. But be still, because that's the only way that you're going to know me. You're going to know who I am. And a lot of people, especially doers, come on, the A types. I just got to keep doing something. If I'm not doing something, I'm not accomplishing anything. I got to do. But oftentimes, your most productive seasons in your life is in those still seasons when you're not doing anything. Because now you can process and you can think, you can review where you've come from and to assess adequately. Have I been spinning my wheels, or have I really been productive? Because sometimes a bunch of activity and movement and action can convince you that you're really getting something done. But how many times has we awakened in our life and realized we were just spinning our wheels? We weren't getting anywhere. Hmm. Just going in circles and in cycles. And it's a sad commentary to wake up after 12 months in a year and realize I haven't gotten any further than where I was the year before. I've been going in circles and cycles. I've been busy, but I haven't really accomplished anything. And God says, yes, because you avoided those seasons and those moments that I was trying to bring you to a stillness. Yeah, that's the time. That's why we go through at the first of the year in many other churches with a January consecration. Because we know if we're not still at the start of the year, still ourselves through fasting and prayer, getting the mind of God, getting the direction of God, it's going to throw off the rest of the months of the year. Yeah, you're going to February and March and April and May, simply replicating what you did the year before that didn't get you where you really wanted to get to. It's the time and the stillness to hear direction from God, understanding God's plan and his purpose, revisiting some things. And as I shared on yesterday when we talked about the noise, quieting the noise, knowing which noises to lower the volume, some noises to turn off completely until you get it down to a volume where you're always hearing God. God always wants us to always hear him. And that's why we have to spend those times prayer and fasting and just meditating. Journaling is a wonderful way to help you be still, to listen to God. Yeah. Turn that thing off. Put a pause on it. What are you saying this morning, God? Let that be a regular routine as you get up in the morning. Before I start my day, and believe me, I got a long laundry list of things to do, our to-do list. And we can get anxious with our to-do list because our anxiety says, I've got to get these things crossed off. I got to get these things. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And it's a bunch of activity, but really we're not getting much done because we haven't learned how to be still and know that God is in charge of our lives and he's the one that orders our steps. Where have you been striving instead of surrendering? Anxiety will push you there. Anxiousness, worry, it will push you there. And there you are striving, wearing yourself out. Got to go back and forth to the doctor, to the hospital, stress tests, simply because we haven't learned how to be still and surrender. What would it look like to stop fighting God's process? Oh, that's a good question for the journal today. What would it look like to stop fighting God's process? Now, stop being that spoiled kid that just got to have his way. I want to have my way, kick and scream until I have my way. Like that spoiled kid at the grocery store in the cart arguing with his mama, not bigger than a minute. Got the nerve to hit at her because I don't want to listen to what you're telling me. I want what I want. I want everything on that candy roll. If I don't get it, I'm going to embarrass you. And we're like that with God sometimes. And he says, just be still. Mama, pop you. Gonna pop you on the leg again and say, be still, boy. Be still and know that I am God. Quiet the noise. What noises distracted you yesterday? Be still and know that I am God. Thomas, be still and know that I am God. I really believe that God allowed, I know he did, allowed the technical difficulties that happened this morning that caused me, in my mind, I lost 15 minutes. I lost 15 minutes. How do I make up for 15 minutes? You don't. Just be still and let God be God. Don't lose it. Don't get anxious. Just chill. Mhm. Anybody want to chill with God today? Yeah. I don't want to carry this excess worry and weight. God, I'm listening. And it starts by quieting the noise. Mhm. Take another inventory today. What noise? What noise that either took control of you yesterday or tried to attempt to, that you had a problem lowering the volume? Was it the external noise? Or maybe it was the internal noise, your thoughts just gone awry, out of control. Was it the emotional noise, unbridled, unprocessed emotions? Maybe it was a relational noise, the voices of people, some well meaning and some otherwise, that competes with the direction God's trying to speak. Maybe it's a spiritual noise. Mhm. Somebody's saying something to you and they're quoting scripture, but it's out of context and it's not in line with what God is really speaking. So you're now listening to them for spiritual insight, and God's trying to give you some truth that's going to set you free. Maybe it's situational noise. Another circumstance arose that you hadn't expected. That's now brought pressure on you to quickly react, and your reactions are emotional without thinking. Yeah, Lord, quiet the noise. I pray that God will give us insight today, that He would help us to identify the noises that are overpowering His still small voice. He still wants to speak to us. He still has a plan. And maybe this is the day He's telling you, just be still. Don't do anything. Just listen for my direction. Jesus demonstrated and modeled for us in a very, very clear and precise way. Even Jesus had to steal away into the mountains to spend time with His Father after performing miracles, teaching, ministering. Even He had to experience stillness. It's not inactivity. Mm-mm. You're actively engaging in direction for your life and for your path. And God is able, more than able, to give you what you need if you learn how to be still and how to quiet the noise.
I've been listening so hard, but everything's so loud. I thought it was you when the flames of life were raging. I thought I heard you when the boisterous winds were blowing. I was sure it was you, rocking the world around me. But it wasn't you. Not fire, not quaking, not stormy winds blowing. And I'm worn from chasing echoes that never spoke your name. Quiet the noise, Lord, the fire, the wind, the shaking, all these distractions that compete for your voice within. Quiet the noise and let me hear you speaking once again. Quiet the noise and let faith arise instead, so I can win. I ran toward the fire, thinking power meant your presence. I stood in the shaking, thinking movement meant you were near. But my soul stayed restless and my heart stayed empty, till I stopped striving and finally landed here. And that's when the chaos faded and peace called out my name. Quiet the noise, Lord, the fire, the wind, the shaking, all these distractions that compete for your voice within. Quiet the noise and let me hear you speaking once again. Quiet the noise and let faith arise instead, so I can I was never in the chaos, I was never in the fear. I don't shout to prove I'm present, I whisper so you'll draw near. Be still, my child, and know me. I've been with you all along. I don't compete with the noise, I wait till everything else is gone. I finally found you in the still small voice within. Not in fire, not in earthquakes, not in rushing violent winds. I finally found you where my striving had to end. In the quiet, in the stillness, that's where faith begins again. Quiet the noise, Lord, the fire, the wind, the shaking, all these distractions that compete for your voice within. Quiet the noise and let me hear you speaking once again. Quiet the noise and let faith arise instead, so I can win. Still my heart, still my mind. I don't need a sign, I just need your voice. Quiet the noise, quiet the noise. I hear you